Hello and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. So we are again at the Learn Think Share session with Mr. Gordons and we have very special guest, Herb Opens. Let's welcome them to the show. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
All right. So we begin and Mr. Gordons, yes.
Yeah, I'll jump right in. So basically, we have lots to discuss today on the physical security, the high-end side, and the future. And what I want to jump in with is jumping around a little bit and get right to the crux of all industry movements is the costs. That's what everybody's concerned is. So what are the resource and cost challenges when it comes to high-level facilities security, right? Because it comes with more costs. All the cool stuff comes with a high dollar price. So what is that going to mean moving forward?
Mr. Gordons? Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. I think the costs are going to be increasing day by day, in some cases decreasing also with AI, because the AI will eliminate many job functions we have. It is going to, because there are 36 AI apps focused only on security. So the movement across the premises is already tracked by the AI. And also the physical robotic arm of the AI, which is like robot dogs and other equipments, are also going to remove the possibility of human intervention to large extent. This is what I see. I want to hear from Mr. Benz.
Yes.
I agree there that there is a lot of opportunity. Costs will go up in certain areas, but they may go down in others. For instance, we can, I know we talk about replacement. AI is going to replace certain things, and I think more so we're going to be able to leverage AI, and as opposed to necessarily removing it or eliminating certain functions, but we can then free up people to do some of the critical things that we need to get done that can only be performed by a person. Uh, but the AI that's out there, and we may use AI, we may use the word or other types of words that we can uh, associate with logic that we have some in some programming. We can use that terminology to enhance our security functions, right? So we will be able to take what may take 3 or 4 people today. We can add certain types of AI or programming availability. Analytics is another term we may see out there, and we could reduce people, but we're also leveraging that technology. So I think there's a great opportunity to remove some of the human factor or even the negative consequence of human factor or inaction, but at the same time keeping people on there, but we can put them into more critical areas.
You are referring to hybrid security models where the human factor plus artificial intelligence factor.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think the key is time saving, like you alluded to there, Herb, is definitely time saving. Like things you do, especially you do floor plans and you do schematics, that might have taken X amount of hours. Now you do BAM AI and it comes up in a couple of minutes. So I've been in the business long enough as you. I don't think we're going to completely replace people like some people think. But like you said, and Adi stated, it's a hybrid method because people are going to need to monitor it, maintain. Just like you oversee the schematics, you present it to clients, you present it to contractors. So your position in the human side will never go away.
And I foresee that human beings will manage these AI bots, so that those jobs are going to increase. And I think a person who is managing these AI bots, those humans have to be trained in a different way, and that's what we are here for, because they have to go away with the physical side of it, and also, I mean, physical side is always involved,
Right.
but monitoring those systems and managing those systems actually.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, did he say something?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The physical security for high-end facilities these days will face new challenges. Some of them might be due to evolving threats or advanced technologies. So, in your opinion, what are mitigation strategies when it comes to security in high-end facilities?
I think the first mitigation strategy, I think, will be to train your people in a different way, a different process, different system. Systems are systems. Systems are like what they were before. Like Herb mentioned the word analytics, analytics is almost like 40-year-old term, not even today's. And AI was invented in 1937. That since then the AI is going on. But today the processing power is so huge that our cell phones can are more powerful than supercomputers of 80s. So that's how the processes need to be changed.
Mhm. I think I agree about how we train people. Uh, the threats are ever emerging and constantly changing, and how we go about addressing new protectors, call it, is going to change. But I think one of the things we have to keep in mind is that we have to keep a very, I call it, limitless idea of what's out there. And I talk to clients about that often. I'm like, when we're looking at, okay, what do you need? What do you need to do? What do you want to do? And when we ask those questions, they actually, even they're very open, they become very closed answers. And I start, I say, now I want you to do this. I want you to think limitless, not what you've done in the past, what you think you need to do in the future, but if you had this open checkbook and you could do anything, not just money wise, but thought wise, what do you need to do? How do you think you can accomplish it? And I think that's where we have to start thinking differently when it comes to training people. That we often put these, restrictors on them or constrictors on them, and we really need them to think limitless. Then we can start reining them in. But let's start with let's throw everything on the table first of what might be these threats that are out there, and then rein in to what's the threats for today. And we can then adjust our plans as we move forward.
I just want to add here and also ask you also, and both Mr. Gordon also. So when you talk about threats, I see threats as humans and non-humans, both of them. Humans in the sense that physical security, which is physical, where human beings are going to be needed to take decision on.
Mm-hmm.
Non-human strategies where the humans will have little role, less role, because it's tech versus tech. So somebody is attacking you through tech, you reply with tech. And that's where the AI systems for security as well as attack, both are being used. Same systems are being used. So I think the mitigation strategy for the tech side will be thorough testing, number one. And number two, proactive denial of technology. The certain technologies are not allowed to be sold in the public market, in the public space. That's what I think. And for personal security also, I think the most of the attacks happen due to somebody's device being compromised, someone's device being compromised. So centralizing those devices will be very important. I've seen many cases where the cell phones of somebody's cell phone which was hacked or not secure allowed entry into the bigger systems. That's what I saw.
Sure.
You know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The
great
threat.
point. And I'll jump in with the next question because again, it's always beautiful when you do interviews and then one answer leads to the next question because we're all encompassing. So that's the next question. So we'll roll it up in there. So what are the supply chain vulnerabilities when it comes to the high end security? And like Adi indicated, the technical, the man, and all of that. So again, Herb, you can address that. So what do you see as the vulnerabilities to the suppliers? As again, a lot of supplies come from China. Most, if not all, of the chips come from China. A lot of the cameras have been banned from use in the U.S., but as we know, there's still a lot of ways to get around that. So how do you see that playing into the future and us combating it?
Uh, I think first off, we have to look and see what those vulnerabilities are within the technologies, right? And I think going back, the threats that we have, remember, not every threat is going to be technological, right? It can be natural, as in disasters and stuff like that. So even when we talk about threats, we have to think of on a broader scale of things. But the supply chain, the vulnerabilities in the supply chain, whether it's weather, going back to weather again, if that equipment's coming from somewhere and it's critical equipment, then all of a sudden it gets caught and it gets caught in a storm, and we lose that shipment coming over from overseas on equipment that's maybe 13, 16 months out. So say it's a transformer. So now we're talking critical infrastructure. That's a big deal. So we have to start looking at some of these things that we need to be able to build maybe stateside, wherever that is, wherever that stateside may be, whether it's stateside in another country or here, but just that we need to be careful that we're not relying on that transportation factor. And then we talk about the threat of having something embedded in to a chipset. We've seen that already. There are threats out to other equipment. And then we look at those cameras that have been banned, in particular, some of those the Chinese brands that may have either a backdoor or malware put in, so that they can pull the metadata off of that for whatever the reasons are. If it's just to have maybe you're selling it to a company that you want to get insider information on, and so you just put that in there. You can pull that scripted information off, and it gives you the insider scoop on what's going on. So now we're talking about insider threat management. So all the things that you've mentioned already regarding the cell phone, that cell phone is the gateway, right? It can be a gateway to an organization. I received a text yesterday from some unknown number. Hi. Well, I wasn't going to click on it, but most people are like, no, I don't know who this is, but hi, and it could be if it was somebody I met at a conference or something. I don't know, but I would hope that they would have more than hi. That's a phishing tactic, possibly a potential phishing tactic, right? So, but the supply chain is we do have to be concerned of origin of where it's coming from, and is there the ability for that process during that process something to be added to that equipment. We saw what happened with the pager attacks, right? That Israel used. They were able somehow inside the supply chain to get that to weaponize something as innocuous as a pager, and I think that can happen with many other things.
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the things I would like to touch upon the a simple thing like a Cisco router. Cisco. Every Cisco switch needs 65 to 80,000 suppliers. There's many components going to that. A simple Boeing plane has 4 million moving parts, and many of those come from different vendors. And now you can understand the vulnerability of those systems. And the so two things are there. One is that we mitigate the supply chain, and that is how we work on it, or we move the supply chains in house. Impossible in today's world. Impossible, because many of those raw material or the rare earth are not found in the US. They're from
Yes.
other countries. And simple thing like palladium. I mean, palladium is a 99% is owned by China. 99%. How can you compete with that? So I think we have to go to the source and secure those systems for each country, not just USA, for any country.
Right.
Secure those sources for those countries, because I think we cannot avoid supply chain in today's environment. Cannot avoid. But I agree to Mr. Owen's point is that the closer we move to the final destination, better it is to manage. And relying on the shipping lanes and those kind of things, which can cause natural hurdles also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we get the real world during COVID. It was 6 to 8 months out on parts that we were getting regularly, and they were intricate boards that made our systems run. So it was literally 8 months was your wait time and then some, and that was real world. And so of course it was COVID, but it just shows again how vulnerable we are to shipments and to a individual supplier.
Yeah, we saw that even in going back to the security camera manufacturing. There was a more dominant camera manufacturer that was out there. Their chipsets were coming from China when COVID hit. They couldn't get them any longer, and another brand that was out there that was manufacturing their own chipsets was able to go to kind of like the top tier. They were number one for a bit. Both great companies, but this other one was able to kind of knock the other one off
Mhm.
a little bit. So we
Yeah,
see that.
there are three major manufacturers. One is Taiwan, one is China. Now, Chinese production facilities have moved to other countries. So if you say made in Vietnam, doesn't mean it's made in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we're seeing more and more Vietnam manufacturing as well. But
It's not Vietnam because it's the Chinese manufacturers moving to Vietnam.
yeah,
And I think for removing those vulnerabilities, I think we need to move towards more friendlier countries manufacturing also, because I think countries like Australia, India, these are all the countries which have the same capacity they're building. And within US also, I think we have a very good. We develop these technologies in the US. and we ship them out, most of them.
Sure.
Israel, yes.
Which brings me to the question, how do deep fake and social engineering create challenges in security for high-end facilities? What are your thoughts about that?
So deep fake is a reality in the AI world. I can take your voice samples, and that's why people call you. When they say hi and you speak, your voice is recorded. Now, with that, just 5 seconds of that voice, I can create a whole song in your voice. Just 5 seconds. You have to just hold the phone for 5 years, 5 seconds. You just say, "How are you? I'm fine." That's it. You're done.
Mhm.
And now deepfake can be created immediately. And it was used heavily in the political landscape recently in all countries, including US. And there was a video showing Mr. Trump dancing with his own voice, and it was not real.
Deepfake is definitely a concern, as well as the use of the biometrics that we have to, password control and maintenance. The importance of multi-factor authentication (MFA) is so critical, right? To be able to have a second um, authorization of how of what we're trying to get into. I know just this morning I was logging into different websites for accounts that I have, even on my like my airline accounts where they're asking for MFA now to confirm it's me. But the deepfakes are really important. I remember seeing one at the uh, Jimmy Carter um, lying in state, and some of the different videos that came out that were not even anywhere near true, but they were able to take two opposing politicians and showing them fighting, for instance, as a fight breaking out. And I'm like, this is just, it didn't happen, but it's something to be concerned with. There are some ways in which we can combat the AI, or the actual deep fake, but it's going to be very challenging. So we're going to have to continue to try to keep in front of ways in which to, um, prevent those or mitigate those from being successful.
So one challenge I'll say is retina scan. We always thought retina scan was very unique. Thumbprints, already movies have shown how to evade them. Many thanks to all these movies. But the
Cut the
retina,
thumb off. Everybody knows that.
no, you can actually have the, but you can actually make like a thumb impression. You can have a sticker on it
Mm-hmm.
to show something else, and
That's
you
the
can
more
also,
civil way.
very simple way, but people do that.
That's civil. That's more civil.
But the retina scan can be uh, like if someone has hacked the system, retina scan can be easily taken over. Face scan can be taken over with the masks. So all these things are already there, and technology can be great, but human beings know all the different ways to circumvent it. AI cannot learn all those things all the time. I mean, I think the AI will have a challenge, even whether it's a Grok 3 or any other AI will have a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I want to come to one security challenge on. Sorry, you're saying something, Mr. Vince.
No, you're good.
I was going to say that it's just like a lock on a door, right? Those are kind of like, you hope that most people won't try to get in. If they do, the door's locked and they'll definitely walk away. But the reality is, it's very easy to get in to a door or an entryway, right? It's just about how much effort that person wants to put in to doing so. And I think the same is going to be with some of the higher end technology, right? It's just that, will they actually spend the time or the resources to learn how to counter some of these things? And then the reality is, if I can't get in through a card reader or deep fake of a retinal scanner or a thumbprint or anything of that nature, I can just go to a door spreader and open the door that way. It may be a little louder, but it depends on how bad I want to get in there. So, but we have to continuously keep up our countermeasures to the best that we can, knowing, as Adi said, that you can get in anywhere, you can do anything, and it's just about staying in front of some of those.
And that's right. Takes us right back to where we started, the mindset. right? So if you're living in the now thinking what worked even 5 years ago is still going to work, you're already losing the game because the criminals are 10 years ahead. They've already taken the technology and they've broken it down. And as you know, a lot put effort, they reverse engineer it. So that's the concept of what we're talking about is mindset has to change. As you know, you're dealing with corporate executives that are been in the business 40 years like us, and they've used these methods. So they're like, we're good. We've been good. We have no issues for 10 years. And we shake our heads saying, yeah, that's now you're the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
You have to open your mindset to what's happening now.
hmm Yeah. The minute we think we're okay is when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we are usually okay until we're not.
Then everybody, your phone starts ringing then.
Yeah.
So,
We
so
got
what
it.
the past experiences won't help us in this new world. We have to create new experiences. I think what we do is combine the mindset of an LLM, how the system is recording it,
Mhm.
and the mindset of old, and then resetting it. And I think that's the solution that Learn Think Share has that, where we reset the mindset of these security professionals. So when they go for a training, they're ready for the new training. It requires a totally new set of working. Like instead of looking outside the window, you're looking at your cell phone for alerts. You're not looking at the window, you're looking at the alerts. So maybe the threat was always on the northwest side of the property, and you don't have to go to southwest to search first. You have to go northwest first. That was an alert. And that also brings challenges that the people can do fake alarms. So it goes to the southwest where actually the problem was in northeast.
Yep. And then we trust but verify, right? So we think that's where the alarm is going to be, and we can check it, right? And then we can say, okay, that's not happening there. And I think that's critical as well as the thought process of not getting not getting trapped into a false belief that is either it's happening or it's not happening or it couldn't happen here, which is what is very concerning. Where people think that'll never occur in my workplace or under my watch, and the reality is it could very well.
All right, Mr. Lawrence. Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
it with the questions. We covered a lot of topics and great insight. And I think just summing up in my mind, which is I'm always a training guy, so I always try not to be the training guy, because that's always been my thing. And I always open mind. Maybe it's not a training thing, but it is a training thing. It starts from the top and works its way down, because a lot of times you have intellectual people at the management level, but then they don't train their people, and the people are the ones doing the work. We all know that, right? Again, we do a lot of work at the top level tier, but we're not in the field. We're not the foot soldiers. So the training has to ripple down. The average security guard is given a walk around. This is the property. Good luck. Those days I hope are long gone. Training is essential. Not only training, but like we're talking about mindset training, because it's not just looking at like I said, the window, or you say the door, Herb. There's got to be a mindset of how to understand what's going on around you.
yeah, drones, other robotic things, robotic guards,
Mhm.
then pilotless vehicles, and I would even go to the extent of submarines, small
Mhm.
drone submarines,
Yep.
and all those things have to be interrelated and interconnected. And then you can move past the challenge of people who may not have best interest of yours in mind. I think all those things, when they are related and connected, it creates a 360-degree view, which is very difficult for a human being to manage.
Mhm.
Human beings can only see 180 degrees. I'm not talking the neck movement, but they can go yin and yang, cannot go around all the time. And so technology will be needed. Plus satellites. I think satellite surveillance is becoming the in thing. And so all those factors have to be come in. And with the Starlink, I think periphery watching will be done by satellites. You can easily do that. We do it in our cars. We set up the periphery around our cars. And so anyone comes near that area, we immediately get an alarm. At least in my truck, I get it.
Mhm.
So that's how we do it.
Yeah. There are so many things to, I guess, think about. And when we look at whether we're doing whether a threat register or anything of that nature, we have to go back to what I said earlier, which is to think limitless, right? Don't put any boxes around thoughts. I'll share this with you really quick, because when I talk about bringing different people with different experiences, we never know where we're going to get these great ideas. And so my son is in his 20s now, and about 20 some odd years ago, he was in his earlier days. He was a little less than 3 years old. We were coming back from the mall, and we were trying to find out what he wanted for Christmas. And he wouldn't, didn't know, didn't want to tell us whatever. It's like, look, we have to get home and write this letter to Santa to so we can get it over to the North Pole in enough time. Now he's less than 3 years old at this time, and he says, "Why don't we just email him?" And this is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, obviously email was prevalent then, but less than 3 year old knew about email. And he says, "Why don't we email him?" And so I looked at my wife and I said, "Can you do that?" And we didn't know. So we went home and we could look it up. We looked the letter to Santa, and sure as heck, you can put his name in and what he wanted. And then the letter would come back right away. "So happy you've been a good boy. I understand you want X, Y, and Z." And it was a great way for us to get to find out what he wanted. But at the same time, we got schooled by a less than 3 year old. And I use that just to tell people you never know where the next good idea is going to come from. And we don't want to discount any of those people that are out there. As Sati said, you have 17, 18, 19 year olds that are actually now writing security protocols and writing these programs and all. And we don't know where they're getting their ideas from, but wherever they're coming from, they're great ideas. And so we can't discount them because they've got a third or less life than we do, or half a life that we have. We have to make sure that we're embracing that, because people see those risks, threats, and vulnerabilities very differently. And let's just not constrain ourselves to what we know and what we've done historically.
Great point.
I'll bring just one more point here, Mr. Gordon, and the preemptive intelligence collection needed for local people premises also. Who is surveying the premises? Who is around your premises, or who is coming in, who is coming out? And I think those things are available now. We used to have this technology way back, but we could not use it because there was not enough computing power. But now all those things are accessible now. So you can have preemptively, you can screen people. I'm against any profiling without permission, but sometimes you have to do it for securing the premises. So
Sure.
it's also available nowadays.
Yeah. Well, those analytics and the AI that's out there now from weapon detection screening is another one where it can start, looking at where things are, what's different on a person's body, right? And they can show you there's something there. It doesn't know what it is necessarily, but there's something there, some kind of mass, or even just behavior based. Now that we have the analytics and AI, that we can go ahead and when a person falls on the ground, we can get an alarm from that. So there's so many things that are different, anomaly based, that we can leverage to help us not be everywhere and not look at cameras if we're talking about security control rooms. We're not trying to watch 45 or 100 monitors of all different things that nothing going on. That's no significance. Now we can do it instead of looking for things. We can do we have more exception reporting almost. Everything's normal until it tells us differently.
Yeah.
Which is really important, as opposed to looking for that one needle in the proverbial haystack, right? Now we're saying, look, don't tell me a thing until there's something wrong or something's not right. And we can teach something. We can teach now our cameras what's not right to us. What's a abnormal behavior, so to speak, or an abnormal person, meaning a person who has no interest in being there. What is that abnormal person there for? Why are they there at 2 a.m. when no one should be here, right?
All right. I think I think all these things require like a new capacity in the mindset, because if you keep looking in the wrong places, you're not going to get the right outcomes. And that's exactly learnthingshared.com comes in, where we don't look in the wrong places in the first place. I mean, we have to be smarter than the person who doesn't have the best interest of ours. We have to be smarter than them, and that's what I think these training programs offer, that you reset the mindset for the new generation, and then it's all about you. It's all about you. It was never
Mhm.
about.
Yeah, I'll share one other thing really quick regarding thought process. I was sitting in a class regarding thinking differently, and I remember they said, "Okay, how can we make the boarding experience better for an airplane?" And most of the people had come up with all these different rules-based things of how to do it, but the reality was, I was just like, you know what? Only another door. You know, we'll put one towards the back, one towards the front. No one ever said that it had to be the same way we've done things.
Yeah.
And so we have to think without, once again, those restrictors of, well, how do we do it now and how can we improve what we have? And we're basing it on that same process, but maybe we need to do something totally different. And I think we have to do a better job of getting to into their minds of saying, don't always think about how it's done today and how you've done it, how have you seen it. Let's think about what's the best way to do it. And I think that is so important about the learn, thinking, share part.
One of the I was recently on a flight, and somebody suggested that windows first and then towards the aisle. Very easy. So everybody
Mhm.
knows.
Yeah,
It's fact.
I was
Yeah,
on one
it
plane
was,
and they wrote it from the back. He said, "Okay, don't worry about anything. We're starting at the back and moving forward." I think that
Yes.
was on when I
it
was
used
heading
to
to
be.
Iceland.
But many other countries do that already. Like in many
Yeah.
other countries, they open both the doors, so front and back. So the
Hmm.
whole plane is people are sitting in just 15 minutes.
Yeah,
And what happens with the mindset shift, which I've seen and learned over the years, it's the individual, right? It's the individual that shifts their mind, and then they create the idea, and then they change everybody else. Because people like especially at the airport, we move in masses. We've been taught to move in masses. We collectively don't, because we're rebels. But the average person walks along all the lines in the airport. They follow the path. They don't bring about change. It's the individual who changes his mindset. Oh, there's got to be a better way. There's no reason for me to stand in this line. There's no reason for me to wait here. And then that's how the individual mindset all of a sudden begins to bring about change. And that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at trying to, and you've been there, Herb. You go to a company, you're not going to talk to 100 people and change everybody's mind. So already 50 people don't want to be there, 10 think you're wrong, and 5 are asleep. So, if you reach one person, then that's the essence of where the mindset change comes individually in any major corporation or any major field, such as security.
sure, absolutely.
So for the viewers, I would say do sign up at learnthingsshare.com and check out trainings actually on all related to mindset. Probably, I think we are the only company in the USA offering these mindset trainings, which is totally proprietary. These things are from our books, our own material, our own researches, applicable to all industries because mindset is a common thing
Mhm.
for all of us.
Yeah, check out Herb as well for your security needs. He's been in the business many years, and the beauty, as you see, is he's open to change. He goes in like a child, childlike mindset each time, trying to learn a different scenario and a different way to do things, which makes him very successful and definitely provides to his clients different thinking outside the box, which takes a lot of courage actually, because it's very easy to give them the same plan that 5 other providers gave them.
Th-
I listen and I ask why.
All right. Thank you all very much for joining the show, and we'll see you in the next show. And thank you, Mr. Evans and
Thank you.
Gordon. Thank you all
Hey,
very much.
thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank
Been
you.
a pleasure.
All right, bye.
Bye.